turned 30 and started to panic. Her timeline was shrinking, her options were manic. She wanted a husband, a house, a life, but her 20s were spent as a party wife. Not married, just available, free to collect the scars and the debris. She thought she had time, she thought she could wait, but biology doesn't negotiate with fate. By 30, most of her eggs were gone. 90%, it's science, not a con. The years are casual, the birth control pills, the emotional roller coasters and the guilt. They leave a mark, they leave a trace. They change the chemistry, they change the face. Not just the skin, but the soul inside. The older she gets, the more she's learned to hide. The biology of the clock that doesn't lie. She aged her eggs, she aged her eye. Her patience thins, her walls grow high, and she wonders why the good men pass her by. You can't outrun the numbers, can't cheat the math. The 20s were a party, the 30s are a bath in cold regret and hurried plans. She's looking for a builder with worn out hands. Now she's angry at the men who see the math behind her urgency. Why won't they choose me? I'm a catch, she says, but they're doing the math inside their heads. 12 years of casual, of toxic loops. He's bringing chaos into their future loops. They don't want to inherit the decade of experiments. They want peace, not a rehabilitation tent. Doesn't negotiate, son. It just keeps counting. And when it's done, it's done. The biology of the clock, she can't rewind, can't restart. The man who's building his future knows he's not a retirement plan for a broken heart. In markets, rare items don't stay on the shelf. They're acquired quickly by someone with wealth, of attention, a time of serious pursuit. So when a woman's 35 and still on the loose, the wise man pauses. He doesn't just jump. He asks the question that makes her heart thump. If you're so special, so high in demand, why is your left hand still without a band? She says it was choice or bad luck or fate, or the men in her 20s who showed up too late. But the market doesn't care about the story she tells. It just reads the data, the numbers, the spells. Was she chasing the bad boys, the unavailable types? Did she waste her prime on emotional hypes? Or was she building, was she growing, or was she true? The shelf doesn't lie, it just reveals the view. The shelf question, it's not hate, it's math. Why wasn't she acquired on the earlier path? Is it personal choice or a trail of self-sabotage? A curated caption or a hidden mirage? Men are asking, men are watching, they're not judging. They're just clocking the pattern, the timeline, the unclaimed years, and they're walking away from the hidden fears. She posts her healing era, her solo trips, her I'm enough captions, and her manicured lips. But the market sees behind the filter's glow. It knows the difference between a flower and a crow. She was on the shelf because she chose to be, or because the man who saw her didn't see a wife, a partner, a builder of home. They saw a woman who preferred to roam. Doesn't hate her, it just observes, and the data on the shelf is what it deserves. The shelf question, son, ask it before you invest. Not to hurt her, to protect your chest. She says her past made her wise, made her strong, that every heartbreak taught her a song. But wisdom doesn't come from pain alone. It comes from healing, and she never atoned. She's hard and not healed, there's a difference, son. The walls she built weigh a metric ton. She's distrusting, unavailable, cold, and she expects your love to break the mold. She wants you to see past her armor, her thorns, to love her despite the wars she's worn. But that's not a romance, That's repair work, friend. And repair work is where relationships end. You're not a savior, you're not a shrink. You're a man who wants a partner, not a missing link. She needs a therapist, not a wedding band. But she's looking for a husband to understand. Repair work, not a romance. She's asking for a job. She wants you to fix the mess, not just to thrive. Experiences and wisdom, it's just time spent in the same old cycles, the same old lament. She's not wise, she's just practiced that pain, and she'll drag you into her hurricane, expecting you to hold the umbrella steady while she's not even ready. I tried to love a woman like this once. She said my calm was a personal affront. She needed chaos to feel alive, and my peace made her want to hide. She wasn't ready for a steady man. She was addicted to the rescue plan. I wasn't her partner, I was her support beam, and I drowned in the river of a broken dream. Action does. And she never acted, she just made a fuss. Repair work, not a romance. Son, don't be her contractor, be her partner, or walk away faster. Go online, son, and you'll hear the roar of women who opted out of the family door. They crashed out of marriage, crashed out of love, and now they're preaching from the rooftops above. Stay single, they say, don't need a man, while they're building their castles out of sand. They dominate the timelines, the hot takes, the threads, and they're teaching your daughters to stay in their beds. But the loudest voices aren't the wisest, son. They're just the ones who lost and never won. We call their regret empowerment now, a shiny new label for a broken vow. The quiet women, the builders, the wives, the ones who live peaceful, uncomplicated complicated lives. They're not online screaming about the patriarchy. They're making dinner, raising kids, building sanity. The loudest voices aren't the truth, they're just the noise of women who made the wrong career of boys. They crash, they burn, they blame the game. And now they're teaching your daughter the same. And see it, son, they see the act. They're not buying the brand, they're not signing the pact. They're looking for the quiet ones who stayed, not the ones who partied and then prayed. So when you hear a woman ranting online about how men are trash and marriage is a crime, ask yourself, is she building or is she bitter? Is she a wife or a professional quitter? The women who build something rarely shout. They're too busy tending what they're about. The loudest ones are often the emptiest rooms, and that's the truth beneath the perfumes. Son, mute the noise. Find a woman who builds, not one who destroys. They'll tell you younger women are just for fun, but that's a lie. The bitter ones have spun. A younger woman isn't just a face, she's a blank page in a different space. She hasn't been hardened by a decade of fights, hasn't collected a dozen next names at night. She's open to structure, to guidance, to growth, not yet poisoned by the cynical oath. That doesn't mean she's weak or naive, it means she's willing to work to believe in partnership and building in a shared tomorrow, not in performing, not in hiding sorrow. Older women call this naive and dumb, but they're just jealous that the time has come and gone and left them on the shore, while younger women open a different door. Well, I'm not age, that's what men see. A woman who wants the same destiny, not one who's dragging a decade of debris and expecting a man to set her free. Youth isn't about the number of years, it's about the absence of accumulated fears. A younger woman hasn't learned to hate, she's still open to a common fate. Saying marry a child or a teen, I'm saying don't let the bitter ones make you mean. A woman at 28 who's kept her peace is worth more than a 40-year-old release of baggage, trauma, and regret. She's not a prize you'll ever forget. She's alive, she's open, she's ready to build, not a woman who's had a spirit killed. the same future as thee. Makes you proud. She enjoyed her 20s, every night, every flame. She collected the experiences that life could bring. She didn't pray with him, didn't plan with him, didn't pour. She just collected and moved to the next door. Now she's 35, and she wants a man to fund her redemption arc, to hold her hand. She's ready to settle now that the party's done, and she's looking for a high-value son. But here's the question the builder will ask: why should I reward you for your past? You didn't invest when I had nothing to show. You were off with the bad boys, letting your wild side grow. And now you want my stability, my house, my name, after you played a very different game. Loyalty is currency, you spent yours elsewhere, and now you want my interest. That's not fair. The redemption arc, she wants a second chance, but she skipped the struggle, she skipped the dance of building something from the ground up slow. She wants the harvest without the road. You can't skip the struggle and expect the prize. She's looking at a builder with desperate eyes, but he remembers who wasn't there when he was nobody, when he was bare. Calls him cold, calls him cruel, says he's intimidated by a woman who's cool. But he's not intimidated, he's just not blind. He sees the math, he reads the signs. She didn't pour into him, didn't share his love. She was out living her empowered code, and now that the code has left her alone, she wants his castle, his heart, his throne. You don't get to skip the struggle and demand the reward. That's not partnership, that's fraud. The redemption arc, son, don't fund it. If she didn't build with you, don't let her run it. generations, the deal was simple and fair. She brings her pride, her youth, her care. He brings us protection, his stability, his hand, and together they build a life, a land. She offers loyalty when she's most desired, when her beauty's bright, when her body's wired. He offers stability when time makes her fade, when her skin softens, when her belly's made. That was the trade, that was the pact. She gives her best, he gives his back. By years of labor, by sweat, by tears, he protects her through the fragile years. Pregnancy, postpartum, the stretch marks, the wait. He holds her hand when it's not so great. She gave him her prime, he gives her his word. That was the deal that everyone heard. But now she spends her 20s on the street, chasing freedom, collecting defeat, and wants to cash out at 35 with the same price tag. But she's not alive, not in the way that matters, not in the soul. She broke the deal, she lost the goal. You can't skip your sacrificial years, my son, and expect to be cherished when your race is run. He worked his 20s, built his base. She played the field, went place to place. Now she wants his protection, his house, his name, but she didn't uphold her end of the game. Marriage is economy, son, balance is key, and every economy dies when one side's free to take and take and never give. She broke the deal, so why should he forgive? Fair until she changed the rules, and now she's angry that the builders are the fools. The broken trade, son, remember the pact. If she didn't give her pride, she doesn't get your back. Son, aging isn't the enemy, delusion is. The woman who thinks her past doesn't exist. She ages, she fades, that's natural law. But the delusion of value, that's the flaw. She thinks that 35 is the same as 25, because she works out, because she's alive. But the market doesn't lie, it just observes and it values what a person serves. Not her beauty alone, but her history too. The choices she made, the men she knew, the loyalty she gave or didn't give, the way she chose to live. A woman's worth isn't defined by her past, but a man has every right to weigh it at last. 'Cause marriage isn't charity, son, it's investment, and investors audit before they sign the engagement. Audit the books before you sign the line. Don't let her beauty make you blind. Look at her past, her patterns of friends, because marriage isn't where the pretending ends. Aging isn't the problem, delusion is the crime. She thinks she's still worth the same over time, but the market adjusted, the numbers changed, and she's angry at the men who rearranged. So son, when you meet a woman who claims she's high value despite the broken frames, ask her about her 20s, watch her face. Does she answer with honesty or with grace? Or does she deflect, attack and blame, and call you insecure for asking her name? If she does, walk away, my son. You've just seen the delusion that can't be undone. Marriage isn't rehab for your past, it's a reward for shared purpose that lasts. Audit the books, my son, not to be cruel, to be wise. The dating market is no refunds, and a man who doesn't vet pays for the rest of his life. I love you. Now choose carefully.